Welcome to another AriasWave update. So in this video, we're looking at the Tron XRP pair and also XRP and Tron individually, right? Just to try and build up a picture of what is going on using the TRX XRP chart and what has happened to this pattern. Now, E waves are definitely one of those waves that you should watch out for. They can be more deceptive than C waves. C waves tend to be pretty straightforward, sharp. In this case, it's almost like you could say there's alternation between how the wave 1 and 4 occurs in dramatic ways. In the C wave, you can see that the move starts off slowly, gets really sharp, bounces in D, but with wave E, it starts off sharp and then gets choppier as we sort of head towards that bottom, just to make it that little bit harder for everybody to sort of understand what's going on. Markets they can be a little bit tricky at times, right? So let's go to the hourly chart, and what am I seeing here in the hourly on this one? So I'm not changing my view on the 1-2 pattern. I am changing where I ended wave 3, and I am seeing some kind of expanded wave 4, which makes sense because wave 2 was very small. So therefore wave 4 seems to be ongoing because we made a new low. I had to change my count. So I see a 3 is 3. Now this 3 looks more like a 5 wave move, which is why I thought it was potentially the bottom. But waves can be tricky because of the internal wave structures, right? Just because you see the length of something, it doesn't mean that you've checked every internal wave structure to confirm what you're seeing is correct. So that's where AriasWave sort of teaches you the internals of a correction. In fact, AriasWave is an inside-out approach to looking at waves. It teaches you corrections first and then the impulsive waves that basically build the whole fractal system, right? So at this point in time, I can see that we are going to probably make one more low. This wave 4 is extremely expanded, right? And that's because wave 2 was expanded to the downside and short and basically looked impulsive. So that means that I would say that this one is, if you look at the angles, it's long drawn out, but the angle is it's more horizontal than the wave 1-2 where 2 ended. So using this particular methodology, which I employ regularly, it's just one piece of evidence, right? So I'm still expecting Tron to move up, but there's always more to the equation than what you think, right? Okay, there's always more because you're only using the waves as a guide. Right? You're doing your best effort to try and figure things out. You're not the all-knowing master that will know everything and will be forever the greatest. You have to keep learning, you have to keep practicing. Okay, so in this case, I'm giving you my view. Take it or leave it. You can always go watch another channel. Okay, let's be real. So right now I can sort of sense that we are going, this is the end of wave 4 up here in 23rd of May, around then, and we are going to make one more low to complete this pattern in wave E. Okay, so this is to me it looks like a straight 5 wave move, but with insane alternation going on. So therefore, I only expect to see one more low, which might even just barely dip, but it has to go below the start of wave E to be confirmed as a wave 5, and then it must break back above this level, which would have been the start of wave 5. Yep, so this should hopefully confirm the end of wave B in brackets, and then we can talk about targets later. Don't want to get into that now. What I do want to get into is XRP first, right? So with XRP, there's a couple of things I want to talk about, and one of them is my count that I had before and the count that I was trying to basically conclude considering. So I did say at one point that, well, first, look, I'll go back to the old count, which I think is what it was. And this is the count that I thought it would be, but obviously this is wrong. But initially, I thought that this was a 1 down here. This was a 2, very small 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5. All right. So basically, I was calling the top already, and ended up happening. So we never ended up getting that extra high. Now, one thing that I find interesting about this is that I was, right. If this is right, then I was right the first time rather than the second, which is quite weird because I also had looked at the relative strength indicator and it was telling me that wave 3 was in fact the strongest wave in this move. All right, because wave 5 never went above it in terms of relative strength. So therefore, I second guessed myself, and you know what? That happens a lot when you do waves, right? But I was never telling you to go long XRP, right? Because I was covering this the whole time, and I knew that we were near a top. People were saying it's going to keep going up, blah blah blah. The XRP army. Now I love XRP, so to me it's kind of like it sucks to have to sort of go against it, but when you start to learn the waves, you start to realize that you can't use your emotions because your emotions is that's what's going to screw you up in the markets, right? So I have to conclude that potentially the first count was right, and this is actually the beginning of wave E, right? Now, the thing about this particular start to this particular move is that we don't know what kind of wave E this is going to be just yet because it's starting earlier. Well, the correction, if this correction continues to move lower, right, I don't think it's going to go down in a straight line. I think it's going to basically create what I call a type 1 weak wave E. Okay, so what that means is you're going to get 1 correction, 2, 3 correction, 4, and then 5. Whatever it is, right? It's just going to chop out like crazy during this whole time, okay? Because it's neither bullish nor bearish, but it's still in an E wave, which has its own rules and its own set of principles, which, well, based on AriasWave, will perform one of the variances of an E wave. Now, because I don't really imagine XRP completing wave 2 just anytime soon, just yet, I don't think this is going to go straight down in a straight line. I think this is going to get really choppy, right? This is what I think is going to happen. So stay away from XRP, in my opinion. Using the TRX XRP chart, to me, this is a confirmation for this sort of thing. But it's just going to be very interesting to see how that pans out. Okay, so just going back to the daily chart for the XRP, I do believe that we did see wave 1 back down here in 2017, followed by an A, B, C, and this is what we've just seen now as a D. So never made a new high. I don't think we're going to see one for a while, and we are going to chop down lower. So that's my opinion for XRP, and only AriasWave can give you that kind of insight into the waves compared to somebody who's just extrapolating like an economist does, which they're usually wrong, or someone who is high on emotion, someone who's trying to look at the use case utility too much when it's a bear market. Looking at utility is great in the long run, but when you're trying to find the best price to get into a long-term investment, using utility as your primary motivation for an investment is probably going to get you in trouble in hindsight. because at the time you will think that you're doing the right thing, but then you'll realize that you could have bought more for less. And that's sort of what I try to do in my, well, that's basically what AriasWave is designed to do. So when you think about it, your education is more important than what you think is going to happen or what you think research means for a coin, because everything has its correction and no correction is the same. Now, switching over to the TRX USD chart, I had to change my count on this one because the waves stopped making sense. And I'll explain why. Okay, so basically, I was saying initially that the B wave ended down here. Okay, and the reason why was because I could only see an A, B, C, D, E pattern, but then I saw a 3-wave and what appears to be a 5-wave move happening now in progress, not quite finished yet. So to me, that can't be an impulsive move. It doesn't even look impulsive, so I was probably wrong. But the only thing that throws me off is this being a C wave. Okay, this being a C wave. Now, if you look closely at the internals, which I will go down a little bit into the 4-hour just to explain this part, because I don't want to carry on too much for too long with too much. Otherwise, it just seems like too much to absorb. But one thing I can see here is wave 1, 2, right? And then I can see a 3, and then I can see a 4, which is expanded. 3, 3, 5, 3, 5, something like that. So it's kind of like, when wave 1 is the shortest, wave 3 and 5 will tend to be similar in length. And now, because of what happened with Corona, this wave ended up being like, it's kind of like a weak wave C, but it's just a standard 5. It's a standard 5-wave move because there's no overlap between wave 4 and wave 1 and 2. So it's just a really weak 5-wave move, which to me makes sense. It's logical. So therefore, that's the only other possibility that I can come up with for this count. So that does raise the target, especially if we come back to retest this area of resistance becoming support. So this being the area here, like if you look at this is like, if you like patterns, right? It's like an inverted head and shoulders pattern, right? So to me, we had a break up, not quite hitting the target of the length of the head, potentially. I don't know. Depends how you trade. I don't trade those patterns anyway. But what you should do in this case, if this is correct, is that you should expect some. You should expect resistance here to become support around here, right? And that will basically mean the end of B wave, and that puts the target, if, right, now this could change, don't quote me because people love to quote here, say you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just giving you a guide on the waves using AriasWave. If you don't believe it, learn it yourself. I have members already, so I don't care. My members are happy. I'll be putting testimonials soon on the website so you could see what they think so far. So let's say, for example, the E wave ended at that area of, support. Then I would say the value of this coin will reach $10. Okay, that's my target here, $10. That's pretty crazy when you think about how much it costs right now. In terms of percentage growth, if that's the case, you're looking at basically at about 24,000%. Okay, so this is only a guide. I'm not a financial advisor. I suggest you do your own research, but it depends on how clear you see things. This will determine where you put your money, right? It's as simple as that. So you at the end of the day, you have to make your own decisions. Don't rely on other people to make decisions for you. AriasWave gives you perspective, but if you don't know AriasWave, how can you believe it? You're just going to see videos. Eventually, you might see some evidence, but by then you would have missed out anyway. So what's the difference, right? And then you're just going to be looking for, I don't know. Some people look. It took me 6 years to do it, to come up with this. So it's not like you're going to figure it out in the next few days, because this is going to happen soon. And yeah, it's cheap anyway. So I mean, if it goes down to that line, what will that be? 0.04 cents, right? I mean, totally up to you what you do with your money, but in my opinion, that's pretty cheap. So we have to see a C wave. There's no doubt about it. This is not a 5-wave move, so you have to basically understand what I'm saying to you. Otherwise, you just say this is BS. Move on, next channel, more BS, whatever. I don't know how you think, but very interesting indeed to look at it in that perspective. But like, please do your own research. Don't rely on some guy on the internet. I just don't think it's wise for you as an investor to do that. Please just use this as a guide. So that kind of wraps it up for the TRX XRP pair update for this week. Hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.